or at least the shots he wants at the end of the clock and the possessions. It reminds me a little bit about the way they built Golden State. If you go back and look at the way the Warriors were built, it was a combination of finding a guy in the draft, Klay Thompson, that was better than you thought he'd be, Kyle Kuzma, Lakers. It was getting that star guard in the top 10, Steph Curry, Lonzo. It was finding guys later in Draymond Green. Steve Kerr turns down the Knicks to coach you. I'm not saying the Warriors weren't smart, but there were a series of breaks along the way. Maybe I'm nuts, maybe I'm reaching. But you look now at what's happening to the Lakers, from the Lonzo to the player rep to Paul George. It feels like it's building, and the breaks keep falling the Lakers' way. Speak for yourself and a Wall Street Journal contributor. Last week I was off. The two topics were escorts and O.J. Simpson. And Jason Whitlock.
I'm sorry, I missed this.
Yeah, Ole Miss football coach. Dialed escorts. Jason Whitlock wrote a story about O.J. Simpson.
You're forgetting haircuts and Michael Vick.
Yeah, that was the story.
I didn't watch any TV in Europe, but I did find this weird VPN so that you could watch the O.J. decision.
It was. Let me ask you. You wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal, and I texted you yesterday. I thought it was really interesting. In my America, and I'll just drop this along racial lines. To me, I look at O.J. as good-looking superstar football player who did a horrible thing, and it's just as simple as that. I don't view him any other way. He was kind of good-looking, star player, hurts. And then he did just an awful thing, which I think a lot of people are capable of terrible, terrible decisions. And now he goes to prison, it's over. In black America, you believe he's viewed differently.
Yeah, I think that before the murder accusations, O.J. was this great example of integration and assimilation. And I thought the mainstream media, the black media, all portrayed O.J. as a hero and a guy that rose from poverty and was the example, shining example of the American dream. Once he committed those murders, he then became a major statement about black people and black men. And I think both the mainstream media and the black media flipped and changed their narrative on O.J. to make it say something about black men. I think, to me, it was inappropriate to do this, but then the story became, O.J. sold out to become this great spokesman, broadcaster, movie star. There was some sort of, it became a story about racial betrayal.
So, yes, O.J., I remember this, when the story happened, it was O.J. never really cared about the black community.
Yes.
It wasn't that before.
No, before that was all ignored. You know, originally O.J. was married to his first wife, a black woman, Marguerite. It wasn't a big deal when he left his wife and married this young white woman. But as soon as the murders happened, again, O.J. became this incredible narrative about black men. And I contend, in a negative way, O.J. has had more influence on American culture, on African-American culture, on the zeitgeist than Muhammad Ali, than Michael Jordan.
You think negatively?
Yes. I think that so many people are consumed, black people, particularly in the media space, celebrities, athletes, are consumed with not being O.J., that we're actually not being authentic. We're not actually keeping it real. We're mostly trying to put on a performance to make sure no one accuses us of being like O.J. Simpson. That's been an unhealthy thing because moderate positions of middle ground, positions of compromise are completely unaccepted in the media space, among personalities, among athletes. Everybody's doing this strong, militant, anti-America, anti-white act in the media to make sure no one accuses you of being like O.J. Simpson.
But O.J. Simpson's crimes were so heinous. We've seen pictures now. Could I, and I don't know if it's an argument, couldn't I just say that O.J. Was a more He was a more public Ray Caruth. We've had a lot of athletes who have made a lot of decisions that are really horrible. Race, regardless of gender and race. I feel like OJ in America now? Like, I was watching this story last week. I was shocked by the TV ratings it got. Like, yeah. I think OJ's story it's dead. He still plays in America.
Yeah, because we've turned him into this statement about black America and black men. Again, if OJ had killed his black wife or black girlfriend, he would not be important at all. He would be like Ray Caruth. And again, Ray Caruth didn't have OJ's career
profile,
profile. But again, if OJ had killed a black woman, it wouldn't have been a big statement about black men and black America. It is not because he killed a white woman and because we went with this simplistic narrative that OJ got where he was because he sold out.
Did you ever feel he sold out? I didn't know his story. I just knew he was a great-looking player, and then he made a mistake. Like, in your community, you're friends with Jim Brown. Yeah. How was OJ viewed?
OJ did sell out, but that's not the explanation for his success. That's just the path OJ chose.
That's right. He lived in Brentwood,
right.
high-end.
That's the path. It doesn't explain his success because, again, we're acting as if OJ was some spokesman on the other side of the civil rights movement, as if he were against the civil rights movement or he was somehow against black people and
he just chose a different path.
He just chose not to participate. He chose silence, and I'm just going to do me. And if you go watch the ESPN documentary, I thought they explained it perfectly.
Yeah, great.
He was just about his initial decisions when he was in Buffalo and the way he carried himself. It was about his family. It's like, I don't want to deal with any of the controversy. I just want to do what's best for my wife, Marguerite, at the time, and my two kids, Arnell and Jason. It was I'm not going to participate in the black collective. And again, he didn't speak against it. He just chose to ignore it.
Does that bother you? You've been critical of MJ for not being outspoken for...
Well, no. I've been critical of Michael Jordan. And look, I'm someone who's a huge fan of Jim Brown.
Yeah.
And Jim Brown always kept it real and always stayed true to what he believed in, the empowerment of black people. I don't require everybody to be the same. Again,
OJ was not.
If that's not your personality, that's not your personality. And so OJ just took a position of indifference. And to me, he had the right to do that. And again, it's like everybody now pretends like all of black America was on Martin Luther King Jr.'s side during the civil rights movement. That's just not remotely true. Most people stood on the sidelines rooting for him quietly, but they didn't want any trouble. It was the few, the brave, that went out and actually supported Dr. King in a real way and put their necks on the line. But again, I just think we've gone too far trying to attribute OJ's success to him selling out. I think that's a bad message. OJ was charismatic and good looking, had a great NFL career. That's why he was in some bad movies. That's why he was a broadcaster who mostly failed.
Yeah.
OJ got to be a spokesman for Hertz because he was transcendent. And so if we want to attribute that to the fact that his position on civil rights was indifferent, I get it. But to attribute all of his success and all of his wealth to that is a mischaracterization and unfair.
How will he be accepted in America? Because I contend, I see OJ differently. I see OJ as coming back into society, and people are repulsed, regardless of race or gender. They are repulsed. They believe a man murdered people and got off. And I don't think he'll be accepted in any circle, social class.
I don't think he'll be accepted. Look, he's reviled in the dominant culture, and he's a reviled martyr in the black culture. Black people have an affinity to OJ in the respect that he's a symbol of us pushing back against the criminal justice system. Our affinity was mostly attached to Johnny Cochran.
Right.
It was never about O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But he is a symbol of that. And we tend to fall if someone symbolizes pushing back against the criminal justice system, we'll forgive and overlook anything.
I don't think you'll forgive OJ.
No. Again, he's a reviled martyr. There's a duality to how we feel about OJ Simpson. We don't like him. We think he sold out. But we also, again, we like the fact that he represents pushing back against the criminal justice system. But again, the point of my Wall Street Journal column and the message I'm trying to push is that too many people in the media, particularly blacks and the black celebrities and athletes, we're too consumed with not being O.J. Simpson. And so it's like having a bad dad and thinking, I'm going to learn how to be a dad by being the opposite of my bad dad. It's an ineffective route. You will make mistakes. You need a good example to model yourself after rather than a bad example. And OJ's has an enormous influence on black celebrities, black personalities, black media.
See, I never knew that. Yeah. I literally am blind to that.
Because of the fear. And so, again, you will see people, to me, who are living the same life as O.J. Simpson, the exact same, or something real similar. And they will get on TV or write in the newspaper as if they're little Malcolm X. And it's a smokescreen to cover up the fact that they're really no different than O.J. Simpson. They're really not living any differently than O.J. Simpson. And it has perverted the conversation around race where you can't have an honest, authentic, healthy conversation about race because too many people are posturing and saying things that they never say privately. The conversation we as black people have privately is completely divorced from the conversation you see on television. And the biggest example of that, I'm just telling you privately, we as black people, we're not sitting around going, oh my God, the police are out to kill us. We're sitting around, particularly in our black communities, worried about the gangs and the people in our own community who may kill us because the numbers and the funerals that we attend and the shootings that happen, we know where that's coming from. But we get on TV and act as if cops are doing drive-by shootings. And I'm not dismissing the tragedies that have happened.
Yeah.
But cops aren't doing drive-by shootings and terrorizing neighborhoods in the way that we are pretending on television.
Jason Whitlock, we're in Los Angeles. We go to Cowboy Camp. Greg Jennings around the corner. Brady Quinn, Big Ten Media Days. And somebody will show up at Cowboys Camp in an hour and a half. It's the Herd. I mean, seriously, I talk for a living.
It's a problem, Ward. We all have
You know
them.
what? The only time I struggle when these stupid salespeople we have another one.
Stupid salespeople.
Listen to this one. Here's another one they use. For workforce, healthier alternative. Say healthier alternative.
Healthier alternative. It's hard.
Healthier alternative.
No, it's hard.
That's
I
like
get it.
salespeople. I make all of you drive Mercedes because of this show and the rates we get. So do me a favor, like reread and rewrite your spots. So
Read out loud.
Do the burglary thing again.
Burglary. It sounds like you're trying to learn a new language. Burglary.
That's like, you can just simplify this stuff. I'm going 100 miles. I'm talking OJ. I got the Cowboy Camp. I got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like if you were to just be reading it on paper and not saying it out loud, they think it sounds good. But when you have to have the words come out of your mouth.
I got to tell you something. This whole Kyrie Irving, LeBron James thing, I think it's so good. I can't believe Adam Silver says, I don't like this kind of drama. It is July 25th, and the NBA season ended June 12th. And for the record, my podcast, digital and TV numbers have been higher in May and June than last year's NFL season. Are you kidding me? Now, some of that's just the growth of our show and the growth of FS1. What does it tell you? All ratings is consumption data. You're interested. One of my rivals talks a lot of hockey. His numbers are down 65% in L.A. year to year. Don't talk hockey. If you're not talking NBA, Kyrie, LeBron, Paul George, Westbrook, Harden, Chris Paul, you're nuts. We're in the storytelling business. Kyrie and LeBron. Do we have that bite from Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner? Yesterday he's on Fox Sports Radio saying, I don't like. This isn't about violence or danger or collusion. It's just human ego and drama.
It's upsetting when you see superstar players who have coexisted, who've had so much success together, obviously 3 finals in a row,